As promised, I am going to be talking about the Twilight Zone. Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of TV Time with Maggie. I'm Maggie, and if you're joining me for the first time, my name is Maggie. Welcome to my channel. This is PinkLeoProductions, and every week or so I talk a lot about television, writing, and representation in the media. I want you guys to please follow me on Instagram. That's one of my main platforms where I communicate with you guys about what we're going to be talking about this week, but also I do blogging and I do IG lives and a whole bunch of other things. So I encourage you guys to follow me on Instagram, and please do not forget to subscribe. I decided to do an episode on the Twilight Zone because last year it was rebooted by Jordan Peele, who you guys know. He is the director, writer, and producer for films such as Us and Get Out. So you guys know he knows horror, he knows about thrillers, and he knows about suspense. So who better to bring us the Twilight Zone? The new season will start on June 25th on CBS, and I decided to look back at last year's episodes and pick three. They may not be my favorite, but there were three that I found to be very controversial, and they bring a lot of interesting questions. I decided to bring three episodes that are not really my favorite, but there are three controversial episodes that bring a lot of questions and a lot of discussion to the forefront. So let's get started. So the first episode I'm going to talk about is actually my favorite one. It's called Replay, and it stars Sanaya Lathan. I actually had the privilege of meeting her and writer Damson Idris, and I was completely fascinated by their story of how they came up with not only the story for this episode, but the implications of it. As you guys know, with everything going on in our country right now and what's been going on for years when it comes to police brutality and the police being prejudiced against particularly people of color, and more specifically Black people, Replay actually plays on this fear, this innate fear and prejudice that happens when a Black person encounters a police officer. In the episode, we have Sanaya Lathan, and she's a mom of this wonderful college student. She is on her way to bringing this young man to college, and she has a video camera that records what they're doing. And every time she tries to do this white officer always finds a way to ruin the trip by either arresting or even killing her son. And the camera actually gives her the ability to turn back time. And I think it's like it always goes back to the first scene when they're both eating pie. And it's such a great, like much bigger representation for everything that is going on, but also our desires to always go back to those, like, if only he hadn't done this, or if only she hadn't done that, or if only, the cop would have thought this instead of this, or would have at least let the person get their keys out or their registration out before assuming it was a gun. Like, there's always like this what if we didn't have racism. In the episode, she replays and replays, and she comes to the conclusion that no matter what she does, her son will always be either arrested or killed by a white police officer. She even tries to befriend the officer. But every situation that she encounters, they always get caught. So she decides to go to her brother's house and tell him what's going on. And with her brother's help, the only way that her son gets to go into the entrance of the university is if not only her and her brother, but also the community around stands up to the cop and was like, what's going on? Like, why can't you let us live our life? Why can't you let this brilliant young man actually go to school? And they have to take like this secret way, this secret passageway, this secret tunnel that can hint to the Underground Railroad, which wasn't really an Underground Railroad, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So the episode is really great in that not only is it well acted and well written, but it has so much that we can learn from in terms of telling a story where there is racism, where we can talk about the mother and son relationship, where we can talk about family, where we can talk about activism and community. The second one I'm going to talk about, it's not my favorite. I don't think it was the best in terms of storytelling, but I think maybe the style and the way that it was told seriously. All right. So maybe the style and the way that it was told maybe mirrors the messiness that it talks about. So the episode is called Not All Men. And as soon as I read the description for this episode, I was like, oh no, like this can go either two ways. It could be a brilliant episode, or it could be something where we have to dissect it. So in the episode Not All Men, a meteor rock with a virus infects the town's water, and it causes men to act, well, in this animalistic, male privilege way. We follow these women. We follow the main young woman, her sister, and her nephew, I believe, as they try to figure out what is going on and how to basically survive in this new world order. I don't know. It starts off as like kind of a Me Too movement episode theme, I guess. This young woman, she is going on a date with with her boss or co-worker, someone who she works with. I think it was her boss, and he's kind of being a little forceful with her, or like not just being really awkward around her and not really knowing when was the right time to make a move. And then he touches the rock, and then he turns into like this savage person, and she thinks it was kind of like her fault, that she probably led him on, and you know, the same kind of story that we hear over and over again, that we women are the ones to blame for a man's behavior. The story takes a turn when the main character's nephew, who is a young man, is able to say, look, the whole time that we've been on our little adventure here, I've had a piece of the meteor with me and I've been fine. So what is it? Because it really isn't about being a man or being a woman. It's something much deeper. It gives you the opportunity to talk about nature versus nurture. Is it really like boys being boys, or is it us raising men to believe that they could just be men? But when it turns out to be like this, a placebo effect, all the men in the episode, in the town, in the show, they act as if this is a pass for them to act the way that they would want to act. But I personally don't believe that all men want to act in this way. I think the episode, what it does towards the end with the question, it tells you a lot about toxic masculinity, about, again, nature versus nurture, about men not holding other men accountable for their actions, and women literally just running away in fear. And so it does bring up a lot of questions, and a lot of great topic for discussion, but I don't think the episode, like, I felt like there was something missing. This is one of those episodes that it had mixed reviews, and I don't know if it was because of the topic at hand, because it's still very much, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's still up in debate, or if it was more of like the structure of the story itself, like what could have been done better to have like a much more clear message. This is called Point of Origin, and it plays on the idea of immigration. It plays on the idea of being a foreigner, or being called, plays on the idea of being called a foreigner or being called an alien. So I actually came to this country when I was 3 years old, and I have an alien registration card with my baby picture on it. And it's weird because it has the word alien on it. I really thought that I was born on Earth and that this was my home, but apparently I'm an alien when it comes to the United States. I'm a citizen now, but it's still something that it was on my file. So in Point of Origin, we have actress Jennifer Goodwin from Once Upon a Time. She actually plays Eve, and interesting, her name is Eve, and she's a privileged white woman who has a Guatemalan woman named Ana Fuentes doing her daily chores for her. And in one instance, she was trying to be good to her. There's always like this really weird relationship where like she's trying to be good and friendly, but there's like this hint of condescending and like, you know, I'm still paying you, like I know how much you make kind of thing. And subsequently from this, ICE comes over and takes Eve away. I think they take both Anna and Eve, and Eve goes, yeah, you know, I'm from here. Like you don't understand. I'm not an alien. I'm not a foreigner. I'm not an immigrant. I'm not illegally here or undocumented in this country. And this entire episode plays out mostly in a immigration detention center. But the bigger picture, because this is the Twilight Zone, is that it turns out that Eve really isn't from here, that she is from another place that is not Earth. And it plays on this, I think on this, not a fear, but when you have the privilege to have your paperwork all together nice and neat for the sake of, you know, the government, and you meet somebody who does not, you have to really put yourself in their shoes, because a lot of people, it wasn't their first choice to come here and to work, you know, for below minimum wage and to be treated in a way that we treat people that come here undocumented. And in the episode, we really do see, you know, this detention center, and granted, they put like the alien spin on it, but at the end of the day, it's a bigger mythology for what was going on in the country at that particular point when the episode came out. But what is going on in general? What do we do to folks that have an undocumented status in this country, especially if they didn't do anything wrong? I mean, neither Anna nor Eve at this point, they didn't do anything wrong. The only Eve in particular, she didn't even know that she wasn't from here. That happens a lot as well. So again, the episode, it was weird at first, because we have this like very like privileged, like, you know, I know what I'm doing kind of woman in this facility, and she's like, well, you know, like I need to call my husband, like I need a lawyer, I need this, I need that. And then she sees everybody else, you know, going through the same thing, and even in a worse position than her, because none of them have a lawyer, none of them have a phone call to make. And then the episode kind of takes a turn once she finds out that maybe she wasn't really from here. But the whole point is that it bridges the gap between that conversation of like, where are we really from, and why are we still calling people illegal and alien, like as if that's like something that they are, instead of, you know, the fact that they just came from another country. So again, a great episode for a great point of discussion. So the episode is called Point of Origin. Well guys, those are my top 3 must watch Twilight Zone episodes right before the season 2 starts. Let me know which one were your favorites, and let me know what you guys think about my top 3. They're not my favorites, but they were the most controversial episodes to start great discussions. Let me know what you guys think about them, and stay tuned for more of TV Time with Maggie. Make sure you subscribe and follow me on Instagram at PinkLeo_Productions. And yeah, stay tuned for more. I'm really curious to see what you guys thought of these 3 episodes. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.